when a spiritual guide discipline your nafs, purify your nafs, does he change the nature of your nafs too? This is the question. It is notoriously famous among all Sufis that only with the help of the spiritual guide, only the spiritual guide will purify your nafs, and you can't do it yourself. This is true. However, the spirit of the truth is lost. It is not properly understood when it is said. What people understand by such sentences is that the spiritual guide is under some kind of obligation, and this is his job, and he has to do it. But I would like to remind all of you, spirituality is not magic, you know, and a spiritual guide is not like David Copperfield, who will steal Eiffel Tower from Paris and give it to you, or who will bring the Statue of Liberty from New York and give it to you. No. Spirituality is an act in which you want to purify yourself, you make efforts, and the spiritual guide teaches you how to make those efforts. It's not like you will just sit quietly at home, relax, and the spiritual guide is responsible for the purification of your nafs, and you are not even involved in the process. That's not how it works. It is like you make every effort the way the spiritual guide tells you to. And in the end, when your nafs, your carnal self, has gone through different experiences and austerities and pattern of discipline and purgation and a lot of austerities in which you refrain yourself from certain deeds, from certain food, from certain behaviors. And in the end, the spiritual guide, in the final moment, the spiritual guide will spiritually transmit some special divine energy which will enable your carnal self to get purgated. People who do not have practical knowledge, theoretical knowledge is different from practical knowledge. In a similar way, it's very easy. Like, okay, offer salat 5 times a day, and do this and do that, and do this and do that, and you are a mu'min in 1 second. But one word, for example, refrain yourself from all sorts of comforts. This is just one sentence. But when you come to practice it, you're actually in trouble. Easier said than done. It is easy to say, oh, the spiritual mentor, the spiritual guide should purify my nafs. All right. Why? Why should it do it? Does he owe you anything? And when the spiritual guide was purified, what did he do? He sat home quietly and his spiritual guide was making efforts. In purification of the carnal self, the most important factor is denial of yourself, negation of yourself. Some people can't do it. Purification of the self, purification of nafs is all about crushing your ego. In the Western spiritual principles, they think the other way around. They think ego is your main power. No, ego is not your main power. Ego puts you in race with others, doesn't it? Ego take away compassion from you. Ego take away God from you. You forget God and you start worshiping yourself. Now, does the spiritual guide change the nature of nafs? No. The nature cannot be changed. A thief, if a thief by profession becomes a spiritual man, even after purification, he will still steal stuff. Now for a different reason, like Robin Hood. And he's such a good person, right? But because he's been thief all his life, even after becoming godly and saintly, he can't stop it. But now he has become a thief for a different reason. Maybe he thinks he's already got some kind of expertise in this field, so why not use those expertise and benefit the poor people? But the nature does not change. There was similar character like Robin Hood in Punjab as well, in Sarkar's area. And his name was Sajawal. Sajawal, his name. It was a similar character like Robin Hood. He used to rob the rich ones, and then he will distribute all the loot among poor people. He would never save a penny for himself. And people asked him, why do you steal? Why do you rob people? And he said, I am divine justice. I take away from the rich ones and give it to the poor people. And the police was after him, and the police was never able to catch him. So what happened? It was in 1970s in Pakistan. when there was a martial law, and Ayub Khan was the president. So Ayub Khan asked him to come and he requested him to meet him, but he didn't. The police left no stone unturned in catching him, but they were never successful. But then Ayub Khan ordered the army to go and catch him. The army platoon went after him, and it was like a siege. He was circled around. The army personnel were all around him, and he was in the middle. He was driving a jeep. And then the army personnel spoke on the megaphone. All your ways have been blocked. Surrender yourself. And suddenly they saw the sand started to fly, and it was hazy, and his jeep and himself disappeared. And then the president of Pakistan, through media, he requested him to come and see me, and he promised that nobody will catch him. No army, no police. And when he met him, the president asked him, "How do you disappear? What's the secret? Who are you?" And then he told him, "I have been appointed by God to rob the rich ones and give it to the poor people." So he was a good person, but he had an expertise in robbing people. He couldn't change his nature. मतलब अच्छा आदमी था, लेकिन फितरत से मजबूर है, right? For example, some people can be really holy and saintly, but still they play cricket. You can't change the nature. हो सकता है कि वाकई कोई होली हो. So you cannot change the nature. Your nature will stay with you forever, no matter how purified you are. Maulana Rum said, you can move the mountains, but you cannot change the nature. You can move the mountains, but you cannot change the nature.
Aura TV. Guidance. Brought to you